Hello and a very warm welcome to News Tonight, your daily roundup of all the news from India and around the world. I'm Tina Jha. First up, the headlines we are tracking right now. Former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee and freedom fighter Madan Mohan Malviya recommended for Bharat Ratna Award. Curfew in Assam a day after a militant attack killed over 60 people. Home Minister Rajnath Singh rushes to Assam, assures all help from the centre. Cabinet approves ordinance to push through legislation on coal and insurance. Opposition accuses government of resorting to undemocratic ways to pass bills. Intense cold grips northern India. Over 20 killed in Uttar Pradesh. Trains and flights cancelled in hundreds across the region. And another African-American teenager shot dead by a US cop in Missouri. Killing sparks clashes in St. Louis. Our top story today, former Prime Minister and BJP veteran Atal Bihari Vajpayee and freedom fighter Madan Mohan Malviya are to be honoured with the Bharat Ratna, the country's highest civilian award. The President today cleared the Cabinet's recommendation of both names. BJP leaders as well as family members of the two awardees have welcomed the move and said it was long overdue.
Recognition as Bharat Ratna for two more of the country's jewels, recipients of the nation's highest civilian honour.
टूटे हुए सपने की सुने कौन सिसकी, अंतर को चीर व्यथा पलकों पर ठिठकी, हार नहीं मानूंगा रार नहीं ठानूंगा, काल के कपाल पर लिखता मिटाता हूँ, गीत नया गाता, गीत नया गाता।
Atal Bihari Vajpayee, the most eloquent and vibrant face of India's parliament going back to the 1950s, a 10-term MP and orator par excellence. As the country's 11th Prime Minister, a global figure and statesman who took India's message of peace and progress to the world. Vajpayee will be 90 on Thursday. People who worked with him closely hold out rich personal memories.
आज मिला ये काफी पहले मिल जाना चाहिए था। राजनीति के रत्न तो वो काफी समय से हैं, हमेशा से हैं इनफैक्ट, लेकिन आज भारत रत्न उनको देख के बहुत अच्छा किया गया है।
मुझे खुशी है कि इस अवसर पर भारत सरकार ने उन्हें भारत रत्न के सम्मान से अलंकृत करने का निर्णय किया है।
वे एकमात्र नेता हैं देश के जिनको संसद के अंदर तत्कालीन प्रधानमंत्री पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू ने भी जिनकी प्रशंसा की थी और सराहना की थी उनके कार्य की।
With the President's nod to the Union Cabinet's decision, Atal Bihari Vajpayee has become the first leader from the country's political right to be conferred the honour. Prime Minister Modi tweeted, and I quote, "Atalji means so much to everyone, a guide, inspiration and giant among giants. His contribution to India is invaluable."
ईश्वर से प्रार्थना करते हैं कि अटल जी को लंबी जिंदगी साथ साथ स्वस्थ जिंदगी दे। हम चाहेंगे कि वो स्वस्थ होकर बैठें और हमारा मार्गदर्शन करें।
हम लोगों ने अटल जी के मार्गदर्शन में कार्य किया है। उन्होंने जो दिशा बताई है उसी के अनुसार हम काम कर रहे हैं और सुशासन और विकास ये उन्हीं की कल्पना है जिसके ऊपर हम सब लोग आज काम कर रहे हैं।
The other recipient, educationist Madan Mohan Malviya. Malviya founded the Banaras Hindu University and became one of the torchbearers of the freedom struggle, acting as a bridge between the moderates and the extremists. Known for his espousal of Hindu nationalism as one of the initial leaders of the far-right Hindu Mahasabha, Malviya was a social reformer and a successful parliamentarian. His family as well as political leaders to this day hold up his contribution to modern society. Last year, when the UPA government had announced the Bharat Ratna for former cricketer Sachin Tendulkar and scientist C.N.R. Rao, the BJP had criticised the Congress for ignoring the contribution of these legends. Vajpayee and Malviya join the list of treasures that will live forever. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
And non-BJP parties have also welcomed the Bharat Ratna being conferred on former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee and late educationist Madan Mohan Malviya. Congress leaders said they hope that the NDA government would follow the path of Raj Dharma and secularism shown by Vajpayee and Malviya. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee too showered praise on the veteran leader. JDU leader Nitish Kumar brought a resolution in the Bihar Legislative Council to greet the former Prime Minister for being bestowed the honour. The resolution named several other veterans who it said should be conferred the Bharat Ratna.
अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी को और पंडित मदन मोहन मालवीय जी को दोनों को भारत रत्न के देने की जो घोषणा करी गई है, हम लोग उसका स्वागत करते हैं.
He is loved, respected across the country and across the world. There couldn't have been a better choice. He is truly a giant among giants.
की वजह से तो मैंने बीजेपी ज्वाइन करी. उन्होंने मुझे इनकरेज किया, उन्होंने मुझे बहुत इज्जत दी. मैं आज बहुत खुश हूँ कि वाजपेयी जी को भारत रत्न मिला. वो इसके योग्य हैं.
अच्छी चॉइस है, लेकिन मैं भारत सरकार से अनुरोध करूंगा कि डॉक्टर लोहिया और जयप्रकाश नारायण जी के नाम पे भी अगले साल अगर विचार कर लिया जाए और उनको दे दिया जाए तो देश में और इससे 4 चांद लगेंगे.
और अटल जी से तो हमारा बरसों बरस का साथ था और बीजेपी में रहते हुए भी वो हिंदुस्तान का जो कंपोजिट कल्चर है उसके प्रति हमेशा सजग रहते थे.
Moving on now to the other big tragic news of the day. Parts of Assam are under curfew a day after the horrific massacre of tribals by Bodo militants in Kokrajhar and Sonitpur districts of Assam. Retaliatory attacks broke out this morning with armed forces rushed in to control the situation. The centre has assured all help as the death toll in last night's attacks is up to 62.
The angry backlash the morning after the massacre by Bodo militants on Tuesday night. On Wednesday, angry Adivasi villagers set ablaze houses of Bodos and staged protest marches. Tea garden workers also took out rallies. Protesters blocked a 7-kilometre stretch of National Highway 15. 5 people are reported killed in clashes with police, adding to tensions. On the night of 23rd December, in 4 villages of Kokrajhar and Sonitpur districts, heavily armed militants of the Songjit faction of the National Democratic Front of Bodoland had unleashed havoc, raining bullets on men, women and children alike. 52 people were killed on the spot. The death toll has risen since. The attack has been termed terror, not just militant action.
जिस प्रकार की यह कार्रवाई की गई है, मैं समझता हूं कि इसे एक मिलिटेंसी के रूप में ही इसको रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं किया जाना चाहिए, बल्कि इसे मैं एक एक्ट ऑफ टेरर मानता हूं. और एक्ट ऑफ टेरर से जैसे निपटा जाता है वैसे ही हम इससे भी निपटेंगे.
The centre has sent in 50 companies of the Central Armed Police Force to control the situation. Search parties have fanned into the interiors to trace the attackers. Protection to people in designated sensitive areas is a priority.
So it is definitely Assam is one of their target. It's not a Bodo culture or anybody's culture. Killing of innocent men. I don't know. We don't know who will go take advantage. Home Minister himself rang me up and he assured me all these assistance, whatever is necessary.
It's a blatant attack, and Assam is requesting 50 extra companies of the central forces. It is a disservice to the community. This is not a fighting for the cause.
In New Delhi, the Union Cabinet condemned the Bodo militant attack. The Prime Minister announced ex gratia of 2 lakh rupees to the families of those killed. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, the Union Cabinet has approved ordinances to push reforms in the coal and insurance sectors today. The bills could not be taken up in the Rajya Sabha as the opposition held up proceedings for much of the month-long winter session that ended yesterday. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said the decisions will prove that the government will not delay its economic reforms agenda.
The Cabinet has approved an executive order on Wednesday to implement coal and insurance reforms, underlining the government's resolve to push through economic measures despite political opposition in Parliament. Under the order, foreign firms can increase their participation in insurance joint ventures from 26% to 49%, a potential lifeline for a sector starved of capital and squeezed by regulations. The passage of coal bill is essential as it would pave way for auctioning of coal mines, which were cancelled by the Supreme Court.
The ordinance demonstrates the firm commitment and the determination of this government to reforms. It also announces to the rest of the world, including investors, that this country can no longer wait. Coal allocation का अध्यादेश था, लोकसभा ने उसे पारित किया था और राज्यसभा में उस पर चर्चा नहीं होने दी गई. आज उस ऑर्डिनेंस को रीप्रमलगेट किया गया है.
The cabinet's approval drew sharp reactions from opposition parties. Some accused the government of using ordinance route to scuttle opposition to the bills.
अभी पार्लियामेंट को खत्म हुए 2 दिन नहीं हुए हैं, सेशन को खत्म हुए और सरकार ऑर्डिनेंसेस लाना चाहती है. ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है. अगर इस तरह सरकार चलेगी तो पार्लियामेंट की इज्जत घटेगी.
এভাবে গণতান্ত্রিক প্রক্রিয়াকে অবদমিত করার মূল্য কি? টোটালি আনডেমোক্রেটিক. ওখানে রাজ্যসভায় 1 মাস ধরে তাদের অ্যাবসলিউট মাইনরিটি আছে. রাজ্যসভা 24 ঘন্টাও এখন বন্ধ হয়নি. এইভাবে অর্ডিন্যান্স পাস করেছে.
The insurance bill came, it was referred to a select committee. 2 other bills have been referred to a select committee in Rajya Sabha. 3 bills being referred to a Rajya Sabha select committee is unprecedented in any one session.
President Pranab Mukherjee has to sign off the ordinance, which must be approved by lawmakers within 6 weeks of opening of the next session of Parliament, scheduled to begin in February next year. With inputs from Ravindra Sharan, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in his Lok Sabha constituency Varanasi to mark the Good Governance Day tomorrow. The Prime Minister will visit Assi Ghat to inspect the progress of cleanliness drive launched by him last month. The centre had announced the initiative to commemorate former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's birthday. Amid controversy over a circular to CBSE schools on an essay writing competition during the Christmas holiday, the centre today informed the Delhi High Court that the entries of participants will also be accepted on the 26th of December. Well, time for a short break on News Tonight, but coming up ahead on the programme, efforts to form the next government intensified in Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir. Do stay with us for that and much more. Welcome back. You're watching News Tonight. Well, no factory should detain workers beyond 8 hours of work without fair compensation. This is what the Standing Committee on Labour has told the central government after reviewing its Factories Amendment Bill 2014. The committee has also asked the government to rethink a few provisions of the Factories Amendment Bill 2014.
The Standing Committee on Labour wants the government to reconsider provisions for the proposed Factories Amendment Bill 2014, its third report tabled in Parliament. It has drawn the attention of the government to the proposal that seeks to extend working hours beyond 8 hours. The committee feels that this provision will allow factories to harass employees.
Committee has recommended that these whole aspects need to be revisited because it will lead to the harassment of the workers and unduly detaining him without any remuneration in the workplace. Although he is legally, lawfully obliged to be in the workplace for 8 hours only.
The committee has also rejected the government's proposal to extend quarterly working hours to 125 hours from the present 75. It feels this will hamper employment opportunities. The committee warned that trade unions will oppose the bill on this count if it's passed.
तो इसका सारे ट्रेड यूनियंस ने और अधिकांश लोगों ने इसको मजदूरों के हित में नहीं माना है. इसमें तो लगभग 70% जो है ना कारखाने जो है ना उस परिधि से बाहर हो जाएंगे. तो बिल का मुख्य उद्देश्य होता है श्रमिकों की सुरक्षा, स्वास्थ्य और उनके कल्याण की बात में. तो इसमें जो है ना इसको पूर्व की यथास्थिति में इसको रखा जाना चाहिए.
The committee also advised the government to take into account hazardous working conditions in factories while seeking special provisions for the safety of the workers.
Committee recommended that both process and substance should be retained, and that way committee also insisted that Schedule 1 should not be deleted, it should be retained and it should be updated from time to time because the character of hazards also changes along with the changes in the technology or character of the industry, new industry are coming.
The Factories Amendment Bill 2014 was introduced in Lok Sabha on 7th August 2014. It was referred to the Standing Committee on 16 September. Rao's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And a day after the results, efforts to form the government in Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir has started. The BJP has appointed observers in both states to choose its leader. In Jharkhand, the party is set to form the first government with a full majority. But in Jammu and Kashmir, the party is keeping its options open to ally with other parties. Meanwhile, stepping down as the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Omar Abdullah said his party is ready to sit in the opposition.
BJP's parliamentary board met on Wednesday to appoint observers in Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir to pick its chief ministerial candidate a day after the poll results. Health Minister JP Nadda and Vinay Sahasrabudhe will play the role to oversee the election of the leader of its legislative party in Jharkhand. In Jammu and Kashmir, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and Party Secretary Arun Singh will carry out similar responsibilities.
झारखंड के नेताओं के साथ और जो हमारे वहाँ प्रभारी रहे चुनाव के दृष्टि से धर्मेंद्र प्रधान जी और हमारे भूपेंद्र यादव जी, उनसे बातचीत करके और वहाँ के जो चुने हुए विधायक हैं उनसे बातचीत करके तिथि तय करूंगा। जल्द से जल्द विधायक दल की बैठक बुलाई जाएगी। पर्यवेक्षक के नाते विधानसभा में विधायक दल के नेता को चुनने के लिए आदरणीय भारत के वित्त मंत्री श्री अरुण जेटली जी जम्मू कश्मीर जाएंगे और वहाँ पर अपने नेता का चयन करेंगे।
But the party refused to reveal any name who are considered in the running for the top posts in these two states. In Jammu and Kashmir, BJP is hoping to ally with other parties to form its first government in the valley. But the single largest party, PDP, has kept its options open so far. It remains to be seen if these two parties could strike a deal to ensure the state gets a government with majority. Omar Abdullah submitted his resignation as the Chief Minister on Wednesday, saying his party is ready to sit in opposition after drubbing in the 5-phase polls.
It is not the responsibility of the National Conference to form government, nor is it in my interests to make life easy for others.
However, with 16 MLAs, National Conference might still have an outside chance to be a part of the new government. For now, Omar Abdullah is ready to play the wait-and-watch game. With inputs from Pranav Goswami, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
So while political temperatures remain high, North India continues to reel under intense cold wave. Intense cold wave conditions continue to grip North India. Plummeting temperatures accompanied by dense fog have paralyzed normal life in most states. Cold and fog-related road accidents have claimed more than 20 lives in UP alone, with air and rail traffic badly hit. Here's a detailed report.
It's been nearly a week of biting cold in the capital, and the weatherman says it's not easing off soon. As per Met Office predictions, cold conditions and thick fog will prevail in the North Indian region for a few more days.
Night temperatures are 2 to 4 degrees below normal, whereas day temperatures are substantially below normal because of foggy conditions. And in coming few days, up to 4, 5, 6 days, we don't see large changes in these temperature conditions.
Dense fog has paralyzed air and rail traffic. Road transport has borne the brunt too. Fog-related accidents have become commonplace, and they're often fatal too. In UP, 20 people were killed on a single day on the roads. 5 were killed in a car pile-up on the Yamuna Expressway, linking Agra with the capital. Large parts of the state continued to shiver on Wednesday.
नहीं ओढ़ने कोई नहीं बिछाने को साहब जी क्या करें बच्चे तंग हो रहे हैं छोटे-छोटे परेशान हो रहे हैं.
In Rajasthan too, icy winds and thick fog threw normal life out of gear. At least 30 trains in the state are reported running behind schedule, some by 20 hours and more. Cold wave also swept Haryana and Punjab.
सर्दी पड़ रही है, कड़कती ठंडी है, सारे ताप रहे हैं, किसी को कोई साधन नहीं है.
काम को है नहीं, सवारी मिलता नहीं, बैठ के आग सेक रहे, ठंड बहुत है.
In national capital Delhi, both minimum and maximum temperatures settled well below the normal mark. Schools have been ordered closed till the 15th of January in view of the extreme cold conditions. The origin lies here. Severe cold weather and snow in hill states of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand are said to be responsible for the chill across North India. Minimum temperatures in the mountains have fallen to several degrees below freezing. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And for all the other national news and updates, let's take you nationwide. Pakistani Rangers indulged in mortar shelling along the border in Katwa district of Jammu and Kashmir on Tuesday night, drawing retaliation from the BSF. Forward areas in Pansar border outpost belt of Hiranagar subsector faced firing from the Pakistani side around 1:30 am. No injury or loss of life has been reported. Pakistan troops had targeted border areas in August and October this year, killing 11 people and leaving over 100 injured. Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Nabam Tuki today expanded his Council of Ministers by inducting 3 ministers. The newly inducted ministers, Radesh Tako, Wongli Lobang Dong and Thangwang Wangam, were administered oath and secrecy of office by the state governor. With the latest induction, the strength of the Council of Ministers has risen to 12, including the Chief Minister in the 60-member assembly. Actor Sanjay Dutt, who is serving a jail sentence at the Yerwada jail in Pune, has been granted a 14-day furlough. He walked out of jail this afternoon after his application was sanctioned. Dutt, who was sentenced to 4 years in jail after being convicted under the Arms Act, has spent more than 118 days out of jail. And moving on to some international news now. In an attempt to initiate peace talks, top officials from Ukraine and Russia are meeting in Belarusian capital Minsk. The group will discuss withdrawing military equipment from eastern Ukraine and the exchange of prisoners. The meeting comes a day after Ukraine faced strong criticism from Russia over its decision to drop country's non-aligned status to work towards a membership in the NATO.
Aiming to find a solution to the ongoing crisis, Ukraine and Russian representatives are meeting in Belarusian capital Minsk. Significantly, the peace talks comes a day after Ukraine's parliament voted to work towards NATO membership. The move has angered Russia, with Moscow sending strong messages that joining NATO is counterproductive and will boost tensions in eastern Ukraine.
Законопроектом, стремлением отказаться от невлокового статуса и устремлением в НАТО, о чем прямо говорят украинские политики, можно урегулировать глубокий кризис украинского государства.
The talks would focus on the withdrawal of heavy weapons from the front line, exchange of prisoners, and ending Ukraine's economic blockade of rebel-held areas. The Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe says humanitarian aid will also be on the agenda. A second round of talks is expected on Friday. Earlier in September, a ceasefire and framework peace deal were agreed in Minsk. Sporadic violence still continues in eastern Ukraine. According to the United States, since the conflict began in eastern Ukraine in April, over 4,000 people have lost their lives. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
A teenager was fatally shot by a U.S. police officer late last night in Missouri. The latest shooting has only added fuel to the nationwide protest against alleged racial shooting by the police. There's a bitter ongoing debate in the country over the excessive use of force by the police.
Another African-American teen was shot dead by a police officer in Missouri. The incident took place in Berkeley, only minutes away from Ferguson, where a police officer had shot another black teenager, Michael Brown. A killing that ignited protests across the country against police methods. The latest shooting also sparked angry clashes at the scene. According to St. Louis County Police, the 18-year-old victim, Antonio Martin, had pointed a gun at the officer, who reportedly fired in self-defense.
No, they not telling me nothing.
They're not even letting you go up there?
No.
What's the girlfriend telling you?
She told me that they was walking they went to the store, they was walking somewhere. They was walking and the police, I guess he started to run or something and the police started shooting. Justice for everybody! Justice for everybody!
The shooting comes in the backdrop of violent protest over the police killings of Michael Brown and Eric Garner. Hundreds marched in New York on Tuesday, defying Mayor Bill de Blasio's call for protests to be suspended after 2 police officers were killed by a gunman on Saturday.
I think it's a time for everyone to put aside political debates, put aside protests, put aside all of the things that we will talk about in due time. But in the coming days, 2 families prepare for funerals. 2 families try to think about how to piece their lives back together. That should be our only concern. How do we support them?
Some cops have been shot.
apparently by a crazed individual. It is necessary not to let that action become the face of this whole series of events, because it's still young black men that are taking a beating and getting shot, and in fact cops are relatively safe. It's not about their suffering.
The gunmen had ambushed 2 New York police officers in an apparent revenge attack to the killing of Brown and Garner. After President Barack Obama's announcement to revamp methods used by cops, the US administration has decided to arm thousands of police officers with body cameras. Footages will be captured in these cameras when the cops will confront any suspect on duty. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
And for more international news and updates, here's the Global Buzz. A global arms treaty prohibiting transfer of weapons to human rights violators has come into force. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon hailed the move as a new chapter. The deal also bans arms supplies if it promotes war crimes or genocide. The accord has been signed by nearly 130 nations, though 2 of the world's largest arms exporters, the United States and Russia, are yet to sign the deal. Islamic State militants have shot down a US coalition-led warplane in northern Syrian province of Raqqa. The militants claim to have captured the Jordanian pilot. The jihadist group said the warplane was shot down with a heat-seeking missile. Jordan is one of 4 Arab countries whose aircraft have been bombing the Islamic State positions in Syria. Australian counter-terrorism police arrested 2 men in raids carried out in Sydney late on Tuesday. One of the men was charged with possession of documents designed to facilitate a terrorist attack, while the other suspect was charged with breaching a control order. Australia has been on high alert since the cafe siege in Sydney last week. Former US President George H.W. Bush Sr. was rushed to hospital after he suffered from a shortness of breath. The 90-year-old is being kept for observation at Methodist Hospital. Bush Sr. is the oldest living former US president and a World War II veteran. He was the president from 1989 to 1993. And now for all the sports news and updates in SportsBeat. The Pakistan Hockey Federation said it would approach the International Hockey Federation on the issue of behaviour of tournament director at the recently concluded Champions Trophy. PHF Secretary Rana Mujahid said the body will take up the matter of suspension of 2 Pakistani players for what was seen as bad behaviour during celebrations after winning the semi-finals against India. Mexican football club Querétaro Sporting has threatened Brazilian footballer Ronaldinho it will sack him if he fails to return to the club in time. Ronaldinho was given permission to miss the first part of the club's pre-season but was due back last week. Club president said the 2-time player of the year did not enjoy any special status. Indian batsman Yusuf Pathan could face a fine or a ban after he slapped a fan during a Ranji Trophy match on Tuesday. The Baroda batsman reportedly lost his temper over alleged constant verbal abuse by the fan. The incident has been reported to the BCCI. Pathan is likely to face action under the Indian Cricket Board's Level 2 or 3 offence. And that's all we have for you in News Tonight. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night. Thanks for watching.